There's just so much.
You're listening to a Mamamia podcast.
Mamamia acknowledges the traditional owners of land and waters that this podcast is recorded on. Hello and welcome to Cancelled, the podcast that looks at silly celebrity crimes and assigns charges and sentences to them so we can all move on with our lives. I'm Claire Stevens.
And I'm Jessie Stevens.
And Jessie, do you have a lazy girl story for us or have you just remembered?
No, I did. I remembered I put one here, but I just hadn't opened it yet.
Okay.
So I'm currently open. There are so many good ones, but this was my favourite.
All right,
okay.
go.
It's from Claire.
Which? Ooh.
It's very relevant.
Coincidence. So many Claires.
Spelt the same
As?
as the person on trial today.
Yep.
Claire says, hiya. I think she's British. Oh, no, she's Irish. Hiya. Thought I'd share a lazy girl story from Ireland. I got a news notification today for a product recall from a supermarket.
Okay. Oh, I've had one of those.
Product recalls are not good for lazy girls. I've had a recall on a car I've driven. No comment. Because then you have to do something and you're like, wait, why do I have to do something because you made a mistake? And then you live your life.
And no, you're like, I'm willing to take the risk.
Yes. Well, so it was from a supermarket that she shops at every week. A brand of tortilla. A brand of, we're Irish, not Mexican. A brand of tortilla wrap was possibly contaminated with metal fragments in Ireland. Okay.
Stakes are low, but continue.
Had a look in my bread bin and sure enough, I had a brand new pack of these wraps. If I brought them back to the shop, I'd get a full refund. But there's a problem. I'd have to go back to the shop.
Yeah.
And I'm working from home today. No makeup, no bra, no deodorant. At least one of which she says she'd have to do to leave the house.
Yeah.
Bra? I reckon you could go without any of those things.
Me too.
I wanted a wrap for lunch.
Oh, no.
So I know that the recall made her think of wraps, which made her hungry for tortilla wraps. I ran my hand over it. And I couldn't feel any metal, so I ate it.
I don't think that's how it works.
And I made my lunch for tomorrow from another wrap from the same pack because I'd prefer to eat metal than make an unplanned trip to the supermarket.
Lazy girl.
She's a lazy girl.
Because the other thing is you'd go to the supermarket and you go, forgot the wraps. You know, you'd forget the tortillas.
And then they'd be like, do you have a receipt?
Oh, hell no.
Hell no. So now I'm just giving you my wraps for free. You can't even tell me for sure whether there's metal in there.
I always think that these companies must have a very low benchmark for what they consider harmful.
Whereas my benchmark, high.
I'm like, my stomach is made of
Claire
iron.
Right at the bottom of this message, stunning.
Stunning.
She gets us.
I bet. Maybe metal would make them wraps taste a little bit more.
Good source of iron.
Yeah. Because they have iron. Jessie, today we're talking about Claire Danes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Claire Danes. And the Golden Globe goes to...
Claire Danes, Homeland.
What do most people not know about me? I discovered Cool Whip when I was pregnant, and we've had a wonderful romance ever since.
I recently watched Fleischman is in Trouble.
Fabulous show.
Excellent series if you haven't seen it. And you, weirdly, really like Homeland.
I ended up watching, I think there are 8 seasons. I think I got up to like season 4 or 5 recently.
And then
loses
the plot.
It loses the plot a little bit.
Yeah, completely. You just go, come on now.
Air and naval forces of the United States launched a series of strikes against terrorists for ensuring...
I don't know why I got so into it. It was very highly stressful. It was a very good kind of...
I didn't enjoy it. I watched a few seasons and I didn't enjoy it, and it's all erased from my mind now.
I recommended it on Out Loud and someone was like, that was made in 2011. I was like, yeah, this is the theme of mine. Recently I watched a film called Captain Phillips. It's also made about 8 years ago. Fabulous film.
So Claire Danes has been quite in our faces, strangely. Claire Danes is an American actress. She's been working in film and television since she was a teenager.
My so-called life.
Correct.
People always say how you should be yourself. Like, yourself is this definite thing, like a toaster or something. What's amazing is when you can feel your life going somewhere. Like your life just figured out how to get good.
I think she was like 12 when she filmed the pilot for that. She starred opposite friend of the council courtroom, Jared Leto, in my so-called life.
Yes. And she had that incredible 90s flannelette shirt on.
Oh, she's so beautiful. She's won Emmys and Golden Globes, and she made her film debut in Little Women, the one with Winona Ryder and Kirsten Dunst. Then she starred in Romeo and Juliet, Broke Down Palace, and so forth. For almost a decade, she played Carrie Matheson in Homeland. And, as aforementioned, she starred in Fleischman is in Trouble. Jessie, my structure for today is as follows. Being banned from the Philippines.
I just simply didn't know
This
that.
is why this show is so fun. A scandalous affair. An extreme crying face. Not getting along with co-stars, solely based on rumours. Is Homeland racist? A question. Being banned from the Philippines. Sometimes you say something rude about a country and then they ban you and all of your work.
What does she have against the Philippines?
In 1998, Claire Danes had been filming scenes for Broke Down Palace. We have talked about Broke Down Palace on this podcast.
More than the rest of the culture put together up until this point. Was this the one that Kate Beckinsale was in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So,
And it's about a drug
no,
mule?
yeah, remember they get imprisoned.
You did it, didn't you? You ruined my whole life. I didn't do it.
Those girls have absolutely no chance of getting out of there, guilty or not. They're guilty.
They're gonna die if we don't do something.
And it's meant to be a Thai jail, I believe, and there's the cockroach in the ear scene, iconic. But they filmed it in Manila. And in an interview with Vogue, Claire Danes described the city as ghastly and weird.
Oh, honey.
And in Premiere magazine, she was quoted as saying Manila smelled of cockroaches with rats all over, and there is no sewerage system, and the people do not have anything. No arms, no legs, no eyes. Jessie, what on earth? No legs, no arms, no eyes.
Can you repeat that sentence for me?
It smelled of cockroaches with rats all over, no sewerage system, and the people do not have anything, no arms, no legs, no eyes.
I don't understand what she's trying to say here.
Look, Manila is one of the top crime capital cities.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps
But that doesn't mean that people don't have eyes.
it doesn't mean people don't have eyes.
But I do often think this, right, is that on the project they often do like someone will be here like a famous guest. And the first question is often, what do you think of Australia? And there's a bit of a like a little smile like, what are you going to say you love the most? And it's like, do you love Melbourne or do you love Sydney?
And they're going to say, oh, everyone's so beautiful. And then as a viewer, you go, I'm beautiful. They're talking about me.
And on the desk, you're smiling and you're like, I am beautiful.
You
Thank
mean
you so
me.
much. You mean me. We had someone recently who got on and said, I hate koalas. And I was like, oh, that's not the party line that you'll be
That'll
banned.
go down in your Wikipedia profile.
Exactly, that you hate koalas. But we are setting people up. I would like someone to just sit down once and go, I hate it here. I hate the people. I think they're ugly.
Yeah.
And then just watch everyone squirt.
Not my favourite place.
Because we don't want a true answer.
No. And that's what Claire Danes did when it came to Manila. What do cockroaches smell like? There's a question.
They don't have a smell.
They smell like flutter flutter.
Okay.
Metal?
She's getting mixed up with causation and correlation.
It smells
Because
and there's cockroaches.
Not it smells because of the cockroaches. The cockroaches are there because of the smell.
Yeah, same with
Which
the rat.
it might smell like rubbish. I'm not saying Manila does, but like the back of a restaurant in any country because of all the rubbish.
Yes. And that attracts the roaches.
So Manila didn't use that in their tourism campaign.
No.
For that one.
And the president at the time, Joseph Estrada, clearly had not much going on. And he declared her persona non grata.
What does that mean?
It means you're not allowed in. She was not allowed to enter the Philippines, and distribution of her films was prohibited in the region. She apologized for her comments, but the ban wasn't lifted. She is still not allowed to enter the Philippines. What a shame.
Well, not for Claire Danes. Because
Actually.
secretly she's going, oh, I didn't like Manila.
Yeah.
Smelled like cockroach. You need to clarify. You need to clarify what you mean by that.
A very, very odd thing to say. Jessie, a scandalous affair. In the early 2000s, there were two lovely couples. Claire Danes was dating our very own Ben Lee, Remember that?
My goodness. I have interviewed Ben Lee in person, meaning that I have touched Claire Danes.
Yeah, like 6 degrees of separation
from
like
Claire Danes.
1 degree.
And therefore from Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, I remember that, yes.
And it was
unusual. Where did they meet?
Because you think, where did they meet? Well, they were introduced by Winona Ryder at Danes' 18th birthday party.
No. Why did Winona Ryder know Ben Lee?
Yeah. Why was Ben Lee there?
He was there, catch my disease.
I think that was after this. This is the weird thing.
How did Ben Lee get into that party? I love Ben Lee, but like, did they mean another Ben Lee?
I know. And he's just like, Ben Lee, and they let him into the party. Interestingly, he was only 19. So Claire Danes is 18. He is 19. What is a 19-year-old Ben Lee doing with Winona Ryder?
He was so famous.
Sometimes there are Australian celebrities that are significantly more famous than any of us realise. What is he doing?
I've got to get to the bottom of
Ben
that.
Lee, if you're listening, can you give us some pro tips on how to end up at that party? So that's one couple.
Okay.
They had been together for 6 years.
Love that for them.
Then there's Billy Crudup.
He is currently with Naomi Watts. Yes, very handsome man.
Beautiful boy.
Was he in Almost Famous?
He was, correct, and currently in the morning show. And he was dating fellow actress Mary Louise Parker.
I don't know her.
No, you do. She's the woman who plays the lead in Weeds. You know Weeds, the TV show? Yeah.
My weed is about to burn to the ground.
So they had been together for 8 years. Mary Louise Parker was 7 months pregnant.
Lovely.
Just keep that in mind.
Lovely.
Lovely.
They're expecting a little baby.
2 beautiful independent couples. What do they have to do with each other? Well, Claire Danes and Billy Crudup. Is that how you say his last name? Okay.
Yeah, it just sounds like you're always saying it wrong.
Yeah. They meet while filming a movie called Stage Beauty. No one ever watched it, made no money. But they left their respective partners for each other. And it was very controversial, mostly because Mary Louise Parker was 7 months pregnant. Ouch.
This is why I've said I will never date an actor. Because I worry. I worry about them meeting
other actors
and having to kiss them on set.
And then falling in love.
Things sexually and then leaving me at 7 months pregnant. I don't like it.
Danes told Howard Stern in 2015, I was just in love with him and I needed to explore that, and I was 24. I didn't quite know what those consequences would be. She said the public scrutiny around the whole situation was a scary thing. That was really hard. And interestingly, Mary Louise Parker.
Did she start shit publicly? Or?
Okay, no. She was very dignified. And then she wrote a memoir.
I think that would be a really fun way to spend your third trimester.
I know.
Starting shit with Claire Danes and being like, where did you meet Ben Lee?
Yeah. Firstly. Secondly, hands off my baby daddy.
Yeah.
I am about to have his baby. She wrote a memoir, but quite a while later. And she didn't do anything petty, nothing directed at Billy Crudup, I think because they co-parent their child together. But she wrote this really moving passage that was kind of aimed at a taxi driver and how she had been in a taxi right at the end of her pregnancy, and she had sort of got into a fight with this taxi driver and then started crying and was like, can't you see I'm completely alone, and completely broke down to this taxi driver. And clearly she was reflecting how ridiculously difficult that time was. It's really sad.
Oh.
But Danes and Crudup dated for 3 years before she allegedly left him for her now husband, Hugh Dancy.
So she still would have only been 27.
Yeah. Very young.
Yeah.
But it's a complete rumour. We do not know for sure that there was crossover.
How do we know Hugh Dancy's name? Come on.
Okay, I didn't know whether to bring this up.
It's too weird.
But the other reason Claire Danes several degrees
front of mind
separation is because great podcast called Ghost Story.
Yeah.
And in Ghost Story, the guy who hosts that, his brother-in-law is Hugh Dancy. And Hugh Dancy, turns out, is married to Claire Danes.
And I interviewed the host of Ghost Story.
Yeah.
So I again touched Claire Danes.
And again.
All of this has been happening while I've been watching Homeland. It's very, very discombobulating.
So, look, it's probably just that she left Crudup and then had another relationship, which is above board.
Above board, yeah.
But it is fun to speculate. Jessie, an extreme crying face. In 2012, the internet had a lot of fun acknowledging Claire Danes' very distinctive cry face. Jessie, this is not a visual medium, but would you like to... Could you please give me your best impression of Claire Danes' cry face?
It's very, very exaggerated.
It's very bottom lip quivering.
It's very bottom lip quivering. And I think the reason why it became so viral is because in Homeland, she's upset a lot. And everything is very high stakes. And literally the security of the US relies on her and her ability to get Mandy Patinkin to do what she says.
Yeah.
And that's high stress, especially when she's off her meds. Just a whole other thing.
And in Homeland, I'd say she's incredibly sensitive for someone with such a high stakes job.
I know.
There's a lot of crying.
I know.
There's a lot
We need
of...
to be more even emotionally.
There's a lot of falling in love with the one person you can't fall in love with for national security purposes.
Exactly.
Now, there was a Tumblr, Claire Danes cry face. There was a YouTube supercut of lots of cry faces throughout her career. There were memes and GIFs. Basically just her emotional facial expressions taken entirely out of context. Jessie, here are some of the iconic cry faces and I want you to just talk us through them. There's so many.
Okay, it's just, again, it's very, she cries with her chin. And I think
It
that's
dimples.
what's so profound about it. I think she's someone who's really crying and she doesn't know how to make it look pretty.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't think she's had any Botox. Because her face moves beautifully to convey
And that's
emotion.
why she's such a good actress.
Mm.
I can see this one from Homeland where she's getting really upset and I just know that a terrorist has gotten away yet again.
And she takes it really personally.
Her face gets very wet because she has a lot of tears.
Yeah, but it's not just tears. It's a
It's
bit of
snot.
drool.
Oh, drool and snot.
Yeah.
It all comes out. See, this one here, she's got drool coming out of her lips.
Also maybe sweat.
Oh, she's such a good crier.
Mm.
Here we go again. It's with the chin. We are going to put a compilation of these up on the Twins' Thoughts on Instagram because this is just...
It's a lot like...
She looks like my baby.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Today, I was in a cafe with my baby and I looked over at her in the pram. She wasn't crying, but she was about to.
Yeah.
And it's the downward mouth, lip quivering, I'm about to cry.
I'm about to wail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Claire Danes, stop it in your pram. Her cry face has always been distinctive, but I do believe her role as Carrie in Homeland has been peak cry face. Would you agree cry face has become more extreme throughout her career?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
An article in Vulture in 2014 was titled Homeland's 17 Best Carrie Cry Faces, and they included such cry faces as the romance cry face.
Yes, I know the one.
The corporate cry face. The girl interrupted cry face. That means she's being a little crazy. The casual cry face.
Yeah.
And the uh-oh cry face, which is when she makes a mistake. Which is often. Which is often.
She shouldn't have a job.
No. When the internet went wild about the cry face, she got a little bit defensive. She's
just trying to act, and how's she meant to act and be like completely in it when everyone keeps saying she looks silly?
Yeah. She told Elle magazine that she thought her cry face had been objectified. Continuing, it's just the way feelings register on my face. It's not calculated. It's not an aggressive gesture. It's been isolated from the rest of my work like it's a tacked on thing. It's not. And I would actually like to agree with that.
She's exactly, it really has been isolated for the rest of her work. And I must say, I knew about the cry phases before I watched Homeland. In context, the crying is always understandable.
Yeah. And she has a certain physicality. It's not just the cry faces. It's all sorts of facial expressions. And it shows contempt very well in Fleischman is in Trouble.
Yeah.
She's really bloody good. Then in a Harper's Bazaar profile, she said she's still surprised that the expression is of particular intrigue. She proceeds to own those facial contortions, as ugly as they may seem. And she says, I have my husband, Hugh Dancy, who thinks I'm pretty enough in our life together, so I don't need to be seducing the audience that way. Yeah, if your husband was Hugh Dancy, that would
You'd
be
be
quite
fine.
lovely.
I wonder if this has also been highlighted by a culture where women's faces don't move. So it's like the fact she can move her forehead and her chin and her eyes and all of that. It's very strange watching a show where a woman starts crying and there's nothing happening until there's this tear rolling down her cheek and you're like,
but we become used to it.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's a shock. On Saturday Night Live in 2014, they ran a sketch starring Anne Hathaway making fun of Homeland and Claire Danes' facial expressions specifically, and it was actually really funny. The whole thing was that she just cried about everything. So she'd walk into a room and she was really unhinged. Bill Hader was playing Saul. That's his name, isn't it? Yeah.
It's Saul, who is Mandy Patinkin.
Yeah. And Bill Hader's character in that says, she's only let me down every time I've trusted her.
Just look at her. It's like she makes her mouth turn fully upside down. Her eyes seem to be looking 5 directions at once. It's like her whole face is chewing gum.
She's a rock, David. Nothing gets to her.
David, Clavin.
She's the best in the biz.
Very true.
It's so true.
She's terrible at her job.
She is.
If you've seen Homeland. And that is the truth. Not getting along with co-stars. Claire Danes starred opposite Leonardo DiCaprio in 1996's Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, I do recall.
Yes. Apparently, they didn't get along. Various reports said that Danes found DiCaprio's constant pranking tiresome, which has come up in the cancel courtroom
So this is
before.
a few weeks ago, right? But I was speaking to producer Talissa because there was a now viral famous prank in Australia involving the inspired unemployed, and we were talking about it in the office. And she said Leonardo DiCaprio would have loved it.
Yes.
He'd have loved
The
it. He'd
man.
have been in the back with his baseball cap on and his sunglasses,
Just chuckling
himself and thinking, all this needs is a whoopee cushion. Is a little fart noise.
The man loves a prank.
Loves
a prank. She was 17. Leonardo DiCaprio was 21. And it's rumoured she found him immature.
I just know he was pranking too much.
Yes.
And she was like, I don't know, I feel like we're doing a Shakespearean tragedy and this isn't the place for a whoopee cushion and a magic trick.
And he's like, lighten up. He found her uptight.
Yeah, because she hated him.
According to some sources, the pair barely spoke to one another when not filming scenes together. So that's one version of events. But then, you might remember...
I wouldn't speak to him because I want to get pranked.
Yeah, it's like, leave me alone.
I'm going to talk to you and then a big fist is going to come through the wall and punch me in the face. And I'm just trying to do my job.
We know now that when he was in Titanic playing opposite Kate Winslet, he would fart into the jacket and put it over her face.
And she loved it,
She did
which is
love
why
it.
they're still friends.
I feel like British people love it and Americans are like, what are you doing?
It's disgusting.
We're in the workplace. Miriam Margolyes played Juliet's nurse in Romeo and Juliet.
I forgot about that.
Yes. And she wrote a memoir. And in said memoir, she said that Danes was infatuated with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Same.
And he was dismissive of her. She said it was painful to watch. Miriam, what gossip?
And do I believe you?
Absolutely.
Believe what
How
you
could
say.
you not be
Sounds right.
infatuated?
Although, I remember being infatuated with someone in primary school and then he would, probably fart in a jacket. and I'd be both disgusted and
turned
intrigued.
off.
So I think that's what she was experiencing.
Yeah.
I think both can be true.
Yeah. Maybe she loved him as Romeo, but as Leo, she thought
she didn't want to be ruined by,
less pranks.
Yeah.
Just some feedback, less pranks.
If you want to hear about Leonardo DiCaprio's pranks, we did do a cancelled episode on Leonardo DiCaprio and it did highly involve his pranks.
Then, as we discussed recently in our Kate Beckinsale episode, Claire Danes wanted to become best friends with Beckinsale while filming Brotown Palace. And she said that was wrong. We didn't. That's it. but they didn't become best friends.
It's like drama.
It sounds like drama to me. Two women worked together, didn't become best friends. Drum roll, please. There's gossip afoot.
There's a bitch fight.
Yeah.
Is Kate British? Yeah, she is.
Yeah. So again, I just think maybe Kate was a bit like farts, and Claire's like, no, I just dealt with that.
Just dealt with that. I'm trying to grow up.
Please. Then, a totally anonymous and definitely made up source said the following about Claire Danes and Damian Lewis on Homeland. Damian Lewis plays Brody.
Nicholas Brody. Nicholas Brody. He was captured.
Yes. Claire and Damian really got along for most of the first 2 seasons, but lately they seem to get on each other's nerves. Then some, a source confided, unclear to who. As a first-time mum, she's understandably stressed out. She basically just wants to get her scenes done and get back to little Cyrus, but Damian is very lighthearted, always joking around with the film crew and getting his picture taken with the locals when they're on location, and that's caused a lot of friction between him and Claire.
Okay.
Is there anything to back that up? No, but some people who watch Homeland say the chemistry was different in later seasons.
That's because the story changed.
Yes, well.
I think she's very much like less play. What is with being with men on set? Because this is the thing. I don't want to generalize, but men on set have nowhere else to be. And he's clearly like, this is it for me.
And she's like, I have a family. I have Hugh Dancy. I have my brother-in-law's ghost podcast.
I have so much to explore.
Yeah.
I have to deal with the fact I have been banned from the Philippines. There's a to-do list. I still haven't got to that. But this is everything to you.
There's ghost stories.
And also, guess what? The locals don't like you.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to.
Yeah, exactly. So I think she's got a list of things to do and Damian's fucking around. She's not here for it.
In there.
Jessie, is Homeland racist? A question.
Last night at 2300, 2 UH-60 Black Hawk gunships lit the target with over 8,000 rounds. During the sweep, one of the Deltas found something else.
I'm an American.
Marine Sergeant Nicholas Brody, MIA since early 2003 and presumed dead. Until now.
An American prisoner of war has been turned.
You're suggesting that Abanazir planted intelligence on his own safe house just so we could recover Sergeant Brody?
He's a terrorist. We need eyes and ears on Brody from the minute he steps off that plane.
Out of the question.
I think the answer is clear. Homeland is an espionage thriller starring Claire Danes as Carrie Matheson. It ran from 2011 to 2020 over 8 series, and it won multiple Emmy and Golden Globe awards. Now, Danes won the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress twice. So that cry face paid off. Jessie, what is your vibe on Homeland as somebody who has exclusively been watching it for too long?
Is it racist? Yes. Have I watched more episodes than I'm proud to admit? Also, yes. Did it mean to be racist? Yes.
Yeah.
Will it be studied at universities in 100 years as an American response in a post-September 11 world? Yes. I think you have to look at it with that.
Here's a question. Is it propaganda? Yes. Great work of propaganda.
And just because something is propaganda doesn't mean Claire Danes isn't good in it.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. There's a lot of propaganda to do with international conflict. For example, most video games are propaganda in that it's evil Russians.
So true.
Like, there are all these little stereotypes
I mean, this is
we absorb.
unhelpful. I look at it and I go, yeah, this is pretty Islamophobic. Like, I can absolutely acknowledge that. However, in later seasons, they tried to turn that on its head in a really interesting way. As soon as you thought you had it pinned and you were like, oh, you're playing into some pretty harmful stereotypes now.
If you watched the first couple of episodes, you would have gone, Oh,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
What have you done?
So it's based on a book written by an Israeli guy,
Mhm.
I believe, which when you also know the conflict in the Middle East and everything, then it's just got a clear point of view. I imagine that the writer's room wasn't fully staffed with diverse people or, you know, a variety of...
A Palestinian voice, for example.
No, or Muslims who
No.
might go, actually... that right there is a stereotype that you're perpetuating.
Mhm.
Like, I absolutely think that's true. But later on, I think they actually had more of a sympathetic. It's weird because American propagandists say that it didn't go far enough. They're kind of like, oh, it went too far in sympathizing with the other side.
Well, the controversies began early on because after the airing of the second episode in season 2, which was shot on Hamra Street in Beirut in Lebanon, people were like, hold on, you've completely misrepresented that specific location. It was represented in the show very narrowly and it was surrounded by militia and associated...
Very dangerous. The
Yes.
idea was like she had to hide and like I think she had to have the security detail and like Beirut, very, very dangerous.
And covered her hair
Yeah.
and it was very like dangerous terrorist activity happening all around her. The Lebanese government and Lebanese people were like, hang on, that street has a bunch of clubs and bars and is legitimately safer than New York or London. It's an expat-filled area and there's Western chains like Starbucks and Gloria Jeans literally everywhere.
Can you imagine if it was like Pitt Street Mall and it's Carrie Matheson like running through the street mall
Darting.
ducking,
Yeah.
and there's just militia everywhere
Yeah.
with their guns out and it's like, that's just not that street.
Yeah, I'm being shot. And it's like, no, that's
You don't need to
sports
cry.
girl. It's fine.
That's fine. That's cotton on.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to get a coffee from Starbucks? That person's not trying to hurt you. They are a barista. Yeah.
Everything is fine. And apparently, like, people were saying no one would blink twice at a blonde, blue-eyed white woman with uncovered hair. Yet it was very much like she had to act
I think she had to
incognito.
dye her out.
Yeah, and cover it. Both.
Both.
Because the blonde might scare people. Over subsequent series, The Guardian and Salon argued that Homeland is Islamophobic. One writer called it the most Islamophobic show on television and accused it of portraying Muslims as a single-minded group of people whose only purpose is to hurt Americans, which again, if you watch the very early part of it, I can completely see how it comes across that way. Islam itself is presented as sinister and suspicious.
And as interchangeable with terrorism.
Yes.
To me, that was the thing that was the most, like the way in which it was almost like a shorthand for someone being bad is so deeply offensive to any Muslim.
Yes. Brody secretly prays in his garage to foreboding music. My partner and I laughed out loud when you see that when he gets out the thing and he starts praying
And everyone's like,
and it's like, whoa, hold on. Like, Islam as a religion is not the danger here.
No.
So Brody's wife eventually discovers he's a secret Muslim and waves the Quran at him, shouting, "These are the people who tortured you." And I think that sums up the issues.
Yeah.
Writer and filmmaker Laura Durkee wrote in the Washington Post in 2014, "Since its first episode, Homeland has churned out Islamic stereotypes as if its writers were getting paid by the cliche." Also, in 2014, Amnesty International published a report that found popular support for torture in the US and Britain, due in part to the glorification of torture in Homeland. The show is also riddled with basic errors about Islam and the Middle East. Some of the obvious ones are you don't need to bury the Quran after someone's dropped it on the ground.
Oh, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
I assume that to be true.
That's not a thing.
Oh.
There's all sorts of names mispronounced.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody double-checked pronunciation.
Well, it was hard because there wasn't a Muslim on set or in the writer's room, so they just kind of went with it.
No.
And they just assumed they wouldn't watch, I suppose.
And then they've got Palestinian characters with Persian names.
Oh, cool.
They're like, Middle East? You're all the same. The Guardian, in their weekly blog, started just pointing out all the inaccuracies. Carrie there's a term and she refers to it as morning prayer, but it actually happens in the afternoon.
Okay.
Then in 2015, for season 5, the show hired some graffiti artists to add some graffiti to the background of some scenes to make a Syrian refugee camp look more authentic. But those artists snuck in the phrase "Homeland is racist" written in Arabic. You can see Claire Danes walking past it, looking stressed about terrorists. They also snuck in the sentence.
You just know Leonardo DiCaprio was behind it.
Yeah, he's like, prank. They also snuck in the sentence in Arabic, "Homeland is a joke and it didn't make us laugh."
Okay, so just to be clear, no one even almost speaks Arabic.
No, and nobody
They were like,
checked
put some
this.
Arabic up, and then they were like,
Yeah, we
there's some
trust it.
letters.
Looks Arabic. Tick. According to the artists, the Arabic script was not checked by producers. They said the content of what was written on the walls was of no concern. In their eyes, Arabic script is merely a supplementary visual that completes the horror fantasy of the Middle East.
Yes.
A poster
It's
image.
it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at the Arabic.
Oh, Arabic language. Can you hear the bombs? Okay. They said a poster image dehumanizing an entire region to humanless figures in black burqas and moreover this season to refugees. In a rare interview, Claire Danes said, "That was a good stunt. All of our hats were off to them."
You know the thing about Claire Danes? You never know what she's going to say.
No, don't know which way she's going to go. Upset about people making fun of her cry face.
Yep.
But then people are like, "Your show's racist." And she's like, "Touche." Touche.
I'll pay that one.
On the broader issue of
Anyway,
racism.
we're making the next season.
Yeah. And the next one. On the broader issue of racism in the show, she added, "I get it. I think it's tricky and kind of inherently problematic. There are a lot of brown people in our story who are doing really bad things, and there aren't enough opportunities to create a more balanced portrait of that demographic. That was always going to be a point of vulnerability, but I also think that our heroes are really problematic and really flawed. We're wrestling with some pretty challenging questions and ideas, and those two sides of various arguments were personified by our characters." She also says, in most cases, I think both characters were right. Our writers were fairly responsible about that, creating a real debate. In the first episode, we have a Palestinian politician who's really challenging Saul and making credible, cogent points about the ways America has failed. I was happy about that, at least. There you go. She said, "I have one example of when things were good."
Okay, when we weren't so bad.
Okay, Claire.
I think that after 8 seasons, yeah, enough now.
Enough now? You've done it? The people who watched
We
it
get it.
Yeah.
They're all terrorists.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's problematic.
Yes.
And again, has not aged well. What with the current conflict? Jessie, it's time for charges and sentences. Jessie, my charge. I have 2 charges. Oh, they're different. One is Homeland is definitely racist.
It is, but is it her fault? She didn't write it. She just got Emmys.
Yes. But as a result, as her sentence, I think she should be banned from the Middle East. Just because it would be fun for her to be banned
from 2
more
places.
countries.
I wonder how a ban works.
I think you show your passport and they say, "Claire, you've done this before. You're not allowed in."
I reckon you show your passport and then they look up and they've got a little board. You know how when you've stolen from a shop
and it's
or
just
when
Claire
you've said, "I don't want to gamble anymore. I'm a gambling addict," and they've got your picture up behind the bar.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they have a picture up and they've got 3 people.
Yeah,
and it's like someone
Claire
really
Danes,
bad,
terrorist,
and then Claire Danes.
Yeah,
and they're like,
and that'd be sad because I think they do some filming there.
Yeah, well, it's limited her options, hasn't it?
It really has.
Do you think there's a mark on her passport?
Yes. So banned on the Philippines for what she said post broke down palace. Now, my other charge. My other charge is, Claire, you've made a mockery of the cry face. It's become a meme, and now every time I see it, I snigger. I laugh a little bit.
Ah, so in Flashman, when she's crying, you're pulled out of the story.
I'm like, that's a meme, that's a meme, that's a gif.
That's a meme. She's memeified her emotions.
Yes.
Okay.
And so what I want, because look, she does the cry face so well.
Yeah.
Apparently, she got some advice from some other actresses, including Meryl Streep early on in her career, who told her something crucial when it comes to crying is staying hydrated.
Oh, so you got enough tears.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
snot and saliva and whatnot. I often feel thirsty after a cry.
Maybe that's why I don't cry. It's emotional numbness, but I think it's also...
You're like a raisin.
Yeah.
A dried raisin.
Dehydration.
Yeah.
But I think she's over-relied on the cry face. And as a result, my sentence is, I want her to play a really happy character.
Oh.
No crying. Just smiling. And the question is, you know how her cry face resembles our baby's cry face?
Mm.
Does her happy face resemble our baby's happy face, which is hysteria. Absolute hysteria.
And clapping when she's happy she just starts clapping.
Yeah. And just absolute, my baby loses her eyes when
does
she
lose her eyes.
smiles.
It's not
she's
pretty.
too happy. It's awful. Gummy. It's so gummy, but she's so happy. And I'm wondering if we do get the other extreme from Claire.
Okay, all right. I think my sentence could be somewhat related. I've not quite worked it out, but I'm going to...
What's your charge?
Workshop. Okay. My charge begins with saying that cockroaches smell because I'm stuck on that. I'm stuck on that.
No, I am too.
Because I'm thinking, I see a cockroach, I pick it up and I bring it to my nose and I just don't think there's a smell.
Apparently cockroaches are quite clean.
I have heard this.
Because they seem dirty.
They do.
Whereas rats, I think, are very oily.
Very oily.
I think they leave like oil Yeah, no, they do. Their tails.
That actually makes me feel really sick.
But no, cockroaches are really clean.
So they don't stink. So what you've done is you've defamed cockroaches.
Yeah.
You have.
And cockroaches,
you've defamed
were here before you.
Terrorists.
They're going to be here after you. You do not want an attack of the cockroaches.
You do not. You've upset a lot of people. So it's about the cockroach smell because I'm stuck on that. Also, misrepresenting Filipino people as
having no arms, no legs, no eyes.
I'm imagining them as faceless.
Yeah. You've given them nothing.
Yeah. And that's really, I find that quite
no
disturbing.
limbs, no facial features. Yeah.
Yeah. Weird, offensive, more than anything, inaccurate.
Yeah. Very.
Not in line with the Filipino people I know.
No.
Who do have faces.
Great point.
Sentence. She deserves a sentence because she has been banned from the Philippines, which feels like an actual crime.
Yes.
Right?
Well, no, that is her sentence.
Yeah, but I think she needs more because I don't think she wants to go back to the Philippines.
No.
Which is the issue with banning people from a place that they themselves have disparaged. They should be banned from a place they like for punishment.
Yeah.
My sentence is, what doesn't she like? Prank shows. What does she think stinks? Cockroaches. So what should she do? Leonardo DiCaprio, clearly his next move is hosting a prank show.
Oh my gosh.
Punked with Leo. Or the Impractical Jokers Leo version.
He would love that.
His real crutch would be the whoopee cushion and we'd have to go, all right, yes.
You know
but
who
we've got to move on from the whoopee cushion.
You know who we'd have as his co-host? 3, 2, 1, Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill.
Obviously.
No, I was thinking that.
Because
but
and
she's
Jonah.
also got other friends. He's got other friends that love it. We talked about it in the episode, quite famous friends.
Oh, yeah, he's got his little gang.
Yeah.
Like Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire also loves it. So they all do their pranks. So
but I think the others have grown up.
I think they had children.
Yeah.
And
but then Jonah Hill
he can't have children because he's stuck on pranks. He's like still pranking potential mother of his children. So I think that he's pranking Claire Danes, which would annoy her because she's like, I haven't seen you in a while and actually you kind of pissed me off on the thing.
I'm also 44 years old.
I also think that his co-host on this pranking show is Damien Lewis.
Oh, okay.
Because I think he's got some time to prank because he was enjoying that during Homeland. And I think it involves cockroaches.
Okay.
I reckon that we throw that in because that'll hurt. That'll hurt.
Like I'm a Celebrity style.
Yep. And especially it ties into that movie she did where the cockroach got stuck in her ear, right?
Did it get stuck in her ear or Kate Beckinsale's ear? I can't remember.
I have very few memories of that film, but I will rewatch it.
Every night when I go to sleep, I think about a cockroach burrowing inside my ear.
Yeah. And it's thanks to that film.
Yeah.
I have positive feelings towards Claire Danes, mostly.
Me too.
Which is what everyone should say at the end of a trial.
Yeah.
Just go.
Despite all the evidence?
Despite it all, yes, we need to have a finding in a sentence. I have positive feelings towards you. I don't know why. I think you're a good actress.
Yeah. Reasons I can't articulate. And having a tangential, is that the word?
Tangential.
A tangential link to Australia.
Through?
Via Bentley.
And a tangential link to ghosts.
Yes, I love ghosts. Jessie, that is all we have time for on today's episode.
And a reminder that we are doing Laser Girl giveaways. If you want to enter, we are giving away GHD prize packs, best GHD I've ever used. To enter, you need to be a Mamamia subscriber. That's all you have to do. If you're already a subscriber, you're in the running. We have a code, Lazy20. It's a discount code for an annual subscription to Mamamia. Details in the show notes. We'll be back next week. Bye. Bye.